And it is Shane Thompson, who made the semi-finals yesterday, that will be taking on Craig Waddingham. These two have actually met before. This has been a previous final, one of the most dramatic finals we have ever seen, with Shane Thompson winning the final Pro Series a couple of years ago of the year in a buzzer beater in dramatic fashion to steal the title away from Craig Waddingham. Things have changed since then. Craig's gone on to win a few titles, and Shane's performances have dried up till this weekend, but he is certainly back with a bang with a semi-final run. But the level of performance as well have been very, very impressive from the safecracker. Mark Shepherd's made the journey across to join me from your previous match. This one will be a little bit quicker, I feel, Mark, than the one you've just done over on the YouTube channel.
Well, you'd hope so, wouldn't you, given we've got a match clock here? Yeah, 2 hours or more for that last 16 match between Callum Singleton and Ryan Pisani. That was a gruelling match. This should be very entertaining, though. Both of these players of the weekend, really, in terms of the form. Both had moments of absolute heartbreak to get knocked out of the first event. Shane Thompson felt like he had the match completely won against Ian Alley, and then suffered one of the many Ian Alley comebacks that we witnessed yesterday. Craig Waddingham looked like he had the job done against Aaron Davis, and then moment of magic at the end. Aaron potted his last ball out of a snooker and then went to a 6-road shootout. So both of them look like they're playing well, but just want to have another chance, I guess.
Yeah, Craig knows he made an error. He should have. I mean, amazing how different things could be. You know, it was very much a mental error from Craig. It cost him, and he knows it. He also knows he's playing some really good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to Shane for regrouping. That was a tough loss to take, possibly even more so than Craig's. And he's played some good stuff. 8-0 against Christophe Lambert last night. Got himself firing on all cylinders again in this tournament. Very hard to pick a winner between these two. Both prolific tournament winners with Arthur McPlure and elsewhere. Craig was going to pull up just short there. Just made the gap. Yeah, did make the gap. I had to load up with side in order to avoid getting stuck behind that red.
Oh, very good start then for Craig Waddingham. Let's give you an update on the state of play. Callum Singleton, hard-fought victory over Ryan Pisani. He's in the quarterfinals. Ricky Jones beat David McGullen 8-3. Shane Thompson beat Robert McCulloch 8-5. Craig Waddingham beat Phil Parkin 8-2. We saw that here on this channel. Christy Colville beat Luke McAvoy 8-6. And Phil Harrison, as we have just seen, has beaten Declan Brennan 7-5. Joe Prince is 4-1 up over Stevie Dempsey. Greg Batten and Tom Jones are 5-4. So tight there. It does mean the quarterfinal lineup looks like this, with Callum Singleton and Ricky Jones about to get underway on the YouTube channel. That's in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. That is currently over on our YouTube channel. And obviously Craig Waddingham taking on Shane Thompson. Christy Colfer will play the winner of Joe Prince and Stevie Dempsey, and Phil Harrison will play the winner of Tom Jones and Greg Batten. And we will see one of those two games following this one, although there may be a slight delay as we are obviously still waiting for results.
Well, have another go at replicating that break. Somehow managed to cluster up reds all in pairs over one side of the table. Also come up dry. A strange layout, given how much the ball's travelled. It's almost like they've been picked up by hand and put together in these groups.
Attention call.
Shane Thompson, it's been an absolute return to form this weekend. Talks a lot over the past few months about a slight dip in his level. It wasn't a major dip, it's just he'd been at such a high level before. Slight deviation from that wasn't leading to as good a results. So Craig no way he was going to be tempted by a clearance from the position the balls were in there. Just happy to choose his colour set. Definitely wanted to be yellows. Now he's going to leave Shane to have a bit of a think about this. May not be here, but at some stage Shane is going to want to find some way of getting rid of the yellow that's hanging around over that top right corner. Well, it was almost there, but that's the worst possible result. He's dislodged the other yellows, still left the one over the pocket. But the only saving grace is it may not have left an easy starter for Craig. Well, if you can see this one, it's an easy starter. Can you see the potting angle? Yes, you can. Well, that was a very bad result for Shane. So if he's going to be positive, he's going to take this ball out of the top right. No point in leaving it there. He's on it about as well as he can. Screw back, ideally in a straight line. Don't want the cannon on the red.
It's not the end of the world, though. He does have a ball on.
And this is where being Craig Waddingham is very useful, because he's so good with this kind of long shot. He just doesn't mind getting left this position. Generally just floats this kind of shot in.
Paced to perfection. Be very surprised if he doesn't take the one to bottom right here. Yeah, it looks like that's what he's eyeing up. Otherwise you could just get yourself blocked off.
That was a good shot. That was a kind of natural gap to go through, but still had to make sure you didn't catch the red too heavily on your way past. Yellow pots bottom right, so just a case of drawing the cue ball back somewhere towards the middle of the table for access to that. This is good from Craig Waddingham. Bit unlucky from Shane. Was left in an awkward spot trying to play a loss of turn. Could realistically have hoped it might end up a bit better than this.
Yeah, very good start though for Craig, isn't it? Gives us an opportunity to just see what's going on. This is at the last 16 stage with Greg Batten versus Tom Jones. Greg with the edge. Here's Tom at the table.
Tom's played some good stuff this weekend. He's one of those quite mercurial players. Sometimes he can look $1 million. Other times you see moments of carelessness creep in, but fundamentally very solid player. And still a young player, so one that's improving match on match, particularly as he starts getting the experience at this pro level. So as we get back to the feature table, Craig Waddingham to break off in frame 3. Looked like for a moment he might go dry, but yellow finding the top pocket. Not a brilliant layout, but I think all the reds could be made to go. Assuming that yellow doesn't pass top right, I think the reds are going to be the easier option for him. So he can play the first shot as a plant, which allows him to open the second one up, which leaves only one ball tied up. May be able to dislodge it here. The ball top right, screw back, just trying to flick that red on the way past. Well, he got the flicking bit right. How much can he see of the red? Would like to have been on the red to the right centre, ideally. Very positive start from Craig, as you'd expect. Shane won't be worried about this in the sense that he knows Craig can be like this. Wants to get started. So it's going to have to bend the ball slightly. Played it nicely. I like the speed he played that at. People often play those a bit hard. He tried to play it gently to give the spin time to turn the ball.
This is the opening, though, that Shane Thompson was looking for. He knows as he walks to the table, in his own mind, he's saying, right, here we go. Let's get the first frame on the board. No hurdles in the way.
Yeah, this is nice for him. There were a lot of hurdles on yellow. The yellows a moment ago, but Craig's opened them all up. And nice to get that start before your opponent gets too far ahead. You didn't want Craig 3 or 4 down the track, ideally. It's a thing of beauty when you watch him strike the ball. Times it so well. Doesn't seem to hit anything too hard. Definitely coming into this tournament with a lot more confidence. Had moments where he's looked okay in previous events and the latter half of last season, but just not the sustained high performance of a couple of years ago. Now it looks like he's enjoying being out here a bit more. Shots where you could end up an inch or two out, he just seems to be inch perfect time after time now. A couple of matches in reasonably quick succession, the last 16 and quarterfinals to start the morning for both of these players. Craig wrapped it up quickly enough. Won't have taken too much out of him. Slightly more leisurely pace for the rest of the day. It's a bit of a gap before the semis and then a bit of a gap before the final. This is exactly what Shane wanted. Just this 8 ball now to get his first frame on the board.
Always felt certain he was going to make that finish, but it's easier to sit here in a commentary box. It was obviously it's a big quarter-final and they're all there. He's got to take them, but he's now up and running. Very smooth from the safe cracker. This is a Women's Pro Series match. Number 1 player Harriet Haynes taking on Megan Proctor, the last woman standing champion. 5-5. They are locked in a battle. Both need 2 more for victory. Oh, great shot from Megan. Great potter, she really is. Her game's really coming along over the last couple of years. Made 4 finals now in the women's series, yet to get the first title, but winning the last man standing in rather strange fashion in terms she didn't have to play much pool, but it's still a title which could release her. If she can just get herself deep into another tournament, she'll feel a lot better about it, having won the last woman standing. Good break from Shane.
Yeah, that last woman standing and last man standing have served a similar purpose. Josh Kane, very much the same. Played nothing until the final, but it was a title that he'd been searching for a long time. Just sometimes helps to give you some confidence, even if it's not that event itself that you've done the hard work in. So these two, though, multiple Ultimate Pool title winners. Craig Waddingham had to wait quite a long time for his first Pro Series. He'd won plenty of other events. He won the first one the penultimate weekend last year. Another one followed immediately after at our last trip to Blackpool at the end of the 24 season. A few miles further down the road from Blackpool and Wigan for the start of this season. Looks like both of these players haven't been away though.
Good layout this one for Shane. Try and get to the left cushion, which I imagine he'll try and get there now to work his way around. I don't think the 2 reds together, I don't think the high one passes the other one, which is why I'm saying if you can get to the left cushion, that connects to the bottom right and you can then connect back round. So should try and get there here, I believe.
This has the hallmarks of a really high quality game. If both players can start making first visit clearances, it could be one of those ones where we see going on for double figures off the break if it goes close. Both so good from any kind of open position.
Has it gone wrong? I think he can dink the one he's nearest to him, but can he see the one he was playing on?
Yeah, it's a bit careless, isn't it? Harder shot having to play this one.
No, I think he's okay. Oh no, he isn't. He is playing this in the middle. I actually think he was playing to be on that in the middle, but he wanted to be straighter, so he was trying to just push it because then it fits the pattern a little bit better.
Either way, made it look pretty effortless. Very smooth clearance. Shane Thompson gets things back level again. 4 frames played, that's 2 apiece.
Yeah, 2 apiece, all square. It's also all square in the Tom Jones-Greg Batten match, but both players only need 2. Currently, Greg Batten at the table. Hard-fought match, this one. Winner will play Phil Harrison. The other match still going on in the last 16. Joe Prince is 5-2 up over Stevie Dempsey. It was 5-1. Stevie's just pulled one back. Winner of that match will play Christy Caulfield in the quarter-final. We will see one of those 2 matches here on our TV table. Could quite possibly be whoever finishes first, but we shall wait and see.
It's been quite the last 12 months for Joe Prince, hasn't it? I mean, he's been known as a decent player for years and years, but it feels like in the last year he's really kicked on. Won a title in the US, got a couple of finals out there, got pro status over in the UK as well. Do you get that? Players who've been kind of around in the ranks just seem to be hidden amongst everybody else, and suddenly they have a breakthrough season and emerge from the crowd. First time winner in last night's Pro Series, Aaron Davis, very popular champion in that match. Felt like he was somebody that had been knocking on the door of an Ultimate Pool title for pretty much the entire time he's been on the tour, which is right from the beginning.
Yeah, we've still got a few potential first-time winners, haven't we, left in the tournament? Joe Prince, Tom Jones, Greg Batten, Callum Singleton, Ricky Jones, Christy Caulfield. Also some very established stars of the game. These 2. Top of the list as well. Phil Harrison, Stevie Dempsey.
Yeah, you would not be surprised to find either of these 2 in the final. Greg Batten, you'd probably put in a fairly similar category to Aaron Davis, somebody that's been around at the top of the game for a long time, very well liked by other players.
Who is? I mean, I talked about it quite a bit, certainly in year 1, year 2. I thought Aaron was right at the top of the list of the players that have been closest but couldn't win it. And then obviously the big one was Sean Chipperfield. He was just knocked on the door repeatedly before he was able to make that breakthrough. Sean unfortunately not able to be here this weekend. First tournament he's actually missed with Ultimate Pool. A few family things going on there. But who's for you the player that's closest but hasn't made the breakthrough?
Yeah, I definitely have had Aaron Davis top of that list beforehand. I think possibly you would have Greg Batten as the next one. If you look down the rankings list, most of the players at the top, unsurprisingly, have won titles. That's why they're so high up. Callum Singleton, I think based on the body of work you would say would be in that
2
category.
finals. Yeah, 2 finals for
come
Callum.
very close. Not a great performance. Well, I mean, it sort of was a great performance this morning, but it felt a very laboured performance. That was the 2-hour match beforehand that we were joking about at the beginning. That didn't feel like he was quite in tournament winning form based on that, but perhaps it's one of those ones where you fight your way through, and then because you've had a tough match, you can be a bit more fluent in a later one.
You'd also have to put Ian Alley in that category.
Neil Rayburn, maybe? Has he won a title?
Yeah, Neil Rayburn. No, he hasn't won a title. So yeah, Neil Rayburn absolutely in that category. He probably is the top of that list, I would say, in terms of he's been in finals. He's been in a lot of semi-finals, a lot of quarter-finals, and he's won a lot of pro titles prior to Ultimate Pool as well. So yeah, I think Neil Rayburn's probably the one, but there's a few that are close.
Neil came so close, of course, in that last man standing that we were talking about. He possibly would have been a more deserved winner than Josh Kane, based on what he'd done in the day. Not taking anything away from Josh in the final.
I've also we've missed the name in Rob Warne. He's also been very close on a few occasions, including yesterday.
Last night's final was a nice one in that it felt like either result would have been a sort of good result. Both players would really have deserved. I mean, you always deserve it if you get through to the final, but based both on their last couple of seasons and just on so much graft had gone in from both of them. They'd both worked hard and been almost out so many times before they got through to that final.
I think it was right up there as one of the best finals I've ever commentated on, actually, as well. Just engrossed in the match. It was brilliant.
Well, the fact it kind of had the textbook storyline where it looked like Ian might get back into it, which was the thing that we kept hyping up, the fact he kept doing that. Finished a little bit off angle here, so had to travel a little bit more to get ideal position. In the end, had to play the double, just didn't feel like he could quite hold it. He could have clipped that in, but he was going to have to travel round the angles, and that red was going to get in the way. Good double, good 8-ball, and a good clearance from Craig Waddingham to get ahead by the odd frame. Let's go and have a look around the arena where Greg Batten is in action. 7-6 now in this match. And it is Greg at the table, so chance here to get over the winning line. Greg was really knocking on the door towards the end of last season. It felt like he was getting successively better, a quarter-final then a semi-final. He felt like he was just knocking on the door of maybe a title run. Sometimes it can be hard to sustain that, but it's looking good already in this season. And now only 4 balls away. Let's stay with this match for a little bit longer, given that he is very close to potentially closing this out. So just 2 balls now. Great stuff from Greg Batten. Really good clearance this. And he gets the job done. And as we get back over to the main table, Shane Thompson has gone dry in the 6th frame, so Craig Waddingham at the table.
Extension called. Just take a seat. Yeah.
Lots of work here. Is he going to fire him with pace? I feel like this is one where pace probably is the way. Yeah, see, that's the problem. The glancing blow didn't really do anything.
So let's look at how the rest of the quarter-final lineups are looking. We've got Ricky Jones 2-1 up on Callum Singleton. Christy Caulfield is already through to the quarters, while he's waiting on the winner of Stevie Dempsey and Joe Prince. And then the last quarter will be Greg Batten against Phil Harrison. Not the most tempting position for attacking options for Shane. Looking to try to play the containing shot. He's left a route through, cushion first, if not directly, to the ball at the top of the table. May also have left a gap through to the ball bottom left. Still the problem with the two yellows tied up together to the left of the cue ball though, so not an immediately good chance this for Craig. And that's why he's not tempted. No point whatsoever potting that ball if he didn't have anything to go on afterwards. This is a better position for Shane than when he was last at the table. He's got the ball to the right centre as a starter. The top of the table, I think the red probably will pass the yellow to the top right. So there are attacking options available for him here. Would like to keep pace with Craig in this match. Single frame behind at the moment. Doesn't want that margin to widen. See, at the top of the table there is plenty of space. The red would go off the yellow. If you played that shot, then that would open up the pocket should you require it for the red that's next to the 8 ball. One of those clearances where there is a pocket for all the balls, but there's just a bit of traffic in the middle of the table. The red that's most central, although in some ways it's quite open, is a bit obstructed by everything around it. So can either play red off yellow to open up the pocket, or can just focus on the pot and play a tight cue ball for the next shot. Decided that he didn't need that pocket, so it was far better to focus on opening the red and 8 ball up. I don't know why he's gone about this. He must feel that he can get through to the potty angle of the ball to the bottom right. If he could, he would kind of like to have taken it earlier on, but he's going to have to take these 2 balls up at the top of the table first, because he's not going to get better on them. Very nice. I had to make that double with a bit of extra pace. Needed to straighten the cue ball, needed to straighten the object ball up. So just got to focus on a clean shot here. He's going to catch a bit of the yellow on the way past. Just needs to make sure he pulls the cue ball back. That's perfect. Just a glancing cannon on that yellow. Didn't get wrapped up in it. So the cue ball still had all the pace on. Very nicely done by Shane. Levels it at 3-all. Let's take a look over in the Women's Pro Series, where Harriet Haynes and Megan Proctor find themselves tied at 6-all. This is the deciding frame, race to 7 in the Women's Pro Series. Megan at the table, but as you can see, a bit to think about. She's got the 8 ball tied up on the left-hand side, and couldn't quite find the gap. She felt she could just get that red past the yellow. Not straightforward for Harriet though either. So let's get back to the main table, where the players are tied at 3 frames apiece, and where Craig Waddingham has drilled the cue ball straight into the corner pocket. So, had the chance in the last frame, which he took. Shane Thompson straight back in action in this frame. Tried to play the positive shot.
Yellow ball's in play.
With ball in hand, he wanted to try to spring out that yellow on the right hand side. It's kind of a difficult line. He was always trying to just manufacture that angle. Did fairly well, but just not quite a firm enough contact on the yellow. So he's going to have a second go at it. Well, it's getting slowly better. He's had 2 goes at that cannon now. He's chipped the yellow away from the red, but it's still not really in an ideal possible position. Could be a world where he tries to drop high on it and play it as a plant down to the bottom right. It's not maybe the most controlled way of playing it, so I don't think that's going to be his first choice, but if he can't find any alternatives, may have to consider that. It's only really the right hand of the 2 yellows that aren't an easy pot at the moment. So, third cannon. Shane's playing his own form of billiards here, where every shot he's cannoning the same ball after he's potted it. Finally, he has now got it in a position where he can chip it into the centre pocket. It's a little bit more acute than it looks from that camera angle, but it's still a makeable shot. Feels that it's a bit tighter than he wants though, so has played for the straight double instead. And that was the key shot. Now he's got the balls at the top of the table opened up. They've got one more ball to play position on, but you wouldn't imagine that being a problem. Change in the commentary box. Tony Holgate steps in alongside me.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Very good. It's been an entertaining game so far. I don't know how much you've seen of it, but it's to have been going blow by blow so far.
Well, just saw the last yellow. Well, that was a great shot.
It was 3-2 to Craig. Shane's had the last chance to level up, and then in off the break for Craig in this one.
Well, it's always going to be a blockbuster of a match. Thompson and Waddingham. And in goes the black, and Shane Thompson edges himself in front.
Yeah, either of these 2 potential tournament winners, both multiple Pro Series champions already, and of the players remaining in the field, probably say of the sort of big name experienced players, they're the 2 in best form. So we get over to the secondary feature table where Ricky Jones is 3-2 up on Callum Singleton.
Feels like Callum Singleton's been there a long time today. It wasn't very long ago he was just finishing off the balls to beat Ryan Pisani, and he's back again.
Yeah, his prize for beating Ryan Pisani was to stay on the table. Ricky Jones was effectively brought over to him. He just stayed in position. Very long first match, slightly quicker pace of play in his second one. Back here, having had the in-off Craig's break, it's Shane to break in frame 8. And as he so often does, manages to find a couple of balls.
Yeah, very good split there from Shane Thompson. It's been in fabulous form this weekend. Well, both of them have. And it was quite a bizarre match. That I wouldn't say it's bizarre when he lost to Ian Ali yesterday, but he seemed it was like a one-sided match that was all Shane Thompson, that Ian Alley hung in, and then came out of nowhere at the end and won.
Yeah, even having commentated on the full match, it wasn't entirely apparent how it happened. It was just Ian seemed to creep up out of nowhere, didn't he? Maybe that was just the tale of the whole day for Ian, though. So nearly did it again in the final.
Yeah, exactly right. Shane Thompson now has this angle there. This is where he wants the contact and bump this yellow out of the way, split these two balls apart. You could not play that any better, that shot. Not only that, he's bang on the red down at the bottom of the table, so he's sat in the gap of those two yellows. For me, I'm sure you take that now where you're plumb on it.
For sure. I mean, what a result to have ended up in that gap. But as you say, he played the cannon so well. The disturbed part of the shot was perfect.
Yeah, that's great. Nice angle there. He will try and get rid of the two reds at the top now.
It's just a battle of two high-quality cueists, isn't it? They're both amongst the best in the world at striking a ball. So he's very at ease with himself as well. I think there are times when your season isn't going well, you lose a match like the one Shane lost yesterday, the wheels can come off. But it's gone completely the other way. He just seems to have regrouped and come back even stronger today.
Well, he's short there and he's annoyed. I mean, he's still got a shot at it, but he is absolutely fuming that he's not screwed back a lot further and harder and had a straight red with nothing to do with the cue ball. Now he's got to pick out a shot. So red into the bottom right, cue ball down for the black in the middle. Well, he did well to get himself back together. I've seen players do that and then they've thrown their arm at the next one, even though you fancied to get it, but it's just through sheer annoyance.
Well, that's the thing, and if you're left that shot by your opponent, you're less annoyed, but the fact that he put himself in that position, did well though, very good recovery shot on the last red. And now opens up a 2-frame lead for the first time in this match. Going to be feeling the more comfortable of the two players as he sits in his chair. Race to 8, so just over halfway towards that magic figure. So as we go back to the secondary feature table, nicely judged 8 ball. Callum Singleton levels things up at 3 apiece. Let's choose between those players. Callum Singleton's been on that table since just after 11 o'clock, so he'll be glad to have a break. If he does win that match, he'll have a bit of a gap before his semi-final. Likewise, the winner of this match will have had a busy morning, couple of games in fairly quick succession, but then a bit of a gap, then a semi, and then the final will be our last match on this main arena table tonight. Been frozen away from the table for 2 frames, in off his own break and a couple of frames ago, so had to sit down and watch. Done a lot wrong so far though, also looks to be in good form.
Yeah, 2 proper elite professional players, both playing at an incredibly high standard. So it's just pretty much trying to find the chink in the arm, and the chink, it all just comes via the break. Players like this don't miss the pots.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That has been the only thing between them so far in this match.
And that's where he wants to be. Pots the ball now into the centre. Sort of screws the cue ball down. Sliding down this rail and behind the red to have it in the left-hand corner. Craig will be happy enough with that.
Yeah, and he'd be happy enough to have got a chance here because the momentum had swung, having been quite even early on. It was tipping the way of his opponent. Still going to have to fade a break from Shane in the next frame, but we know how quickly things can turn around. Innovative use of the yellow there to hold position. Actually quite an acute angle this. Craig's such a good potter. Just makes it look easy. So, single frame behind now. 9 frames played, 5-4 to Shane Thompson. Over in the Women's Pro Series, hearing that Harriet Haynes has completed a 7-6 win over Megan Proctor. Did complete the clearance that we were looking at a frame or two ago. That Women's Pro Series we'll see the final of just before the main Pro Series final tonight. If it's anything like last night's final, we're going to be in for a treat. Very high quality game we watched between Danielle Randall and Marion Jude last night. The French woman coming through that to
5 frames to 4.
lift another piece of silverware to add to her collection. The break clearance from Shane on his last break. What's he got for us in this one? Well, what he's got is a beautiful split, but no balls down. And Craig Waddingham ambles over to the table, but must be inside very enthusiastic about the prospect of this position.
Yeah, it's an incredible split there from Thompson. But he's not going to reap the benefits of it. Craig Waddingham is.
The downside with having such a good break, on the rare occasion you do come up dry, this is exactly the kind of position you leave your opponent. So play this quite gently, doesn't want the first yellow drifting away anywhere. Controlled that nicely. Match has proceeded at a pretty lively pace as we see Craig.
Well, as he just stuck himself to the red. Touchy ball, I'm sure the referee just signalled.
In fact, it's touching is somewhat academic because he's on yellows, but the fact that he's unable to see the yellow is the key statistic.
The thing is that with touchy ball, if you try and play too closer when you're playing with left hand and sort of right hand side, if he tries to spin it off the cushion, because you're throwing the cue ball towards the red, you stand a chance of maybe just tickling it first, and that will be a foul and ball in hand. Opted to play the other yellow. Well, Craig will be very, very disappointed there.
Yeah, that's a loose one. That wasn't one you saw coming. It felt like he'd got himself into good position and what was a really pretty routine finish. So he said he wasn't going to reap the rewards, but maybe Shane Thompson will have a crack at these. This was his break.
There's a bit of work to do here for Shane.
Yeah, it wasn't the cannon he was looking for at all. Some more work to be done than when he played the last shot. This is all a bonus though. He'll have been mentally writing this frame off when he walked away from the table after the break. He wouldn't have expected for a moment to be back. No problem with the ball to the bottom right, the one to the right of the 8 ball. It's the ball below that, the furthest down this end of the table. That red is the one that's awkwardly placed at the moment. Don't think it goes between the gap of the 2 yellows to the bottom left corner, so have to find an alternative.
It's tricky, this.
Extension call.
Still got a bad angle on this ball. What does he want to do? Does he play a cannon?
Well, I think he's just going to accept that where it is he's going to have to try and pot it in the middle. The only other ball that can move it would be the red that's stuck to the black, but you need to be just above it and sort of steer into it, sort of half ball and push cue ball and red both past that yellow. And I think he's coming back around the angles here a little bit. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, that is a fabulous shot. Another inch and he was perfect. But he can still get this, and he can dig down and hold the cue ball. Very tough shot. There is another way you could play it. You could actually play it and slide it off the black ball and try and get the red in the middle. He's going to try and play it plain ball. Big shot here. Oh, great shot. I mean, that positional shot to get on it from Shane Thompson. And he's really picked Craig Waddingham's pocket here after Craig's elementary mistake, really, to just stick to that red. Magnificent finish from Thompson.
Yeah, that was pretty silly, wasn't it? That position he was in. I mean, this positional shot, he's had to screw right round the back of the balls. He's landed an inch or two short of where he wanted to be, and then he's pulled out another phenomenal shot.
Yeah, great shot. Shane. Not showing too much emotion. And we're just... And there's Mary Talbot. She's playing Barbara Taylor and leading 6-1. So this plant that she's looking at really pretty much would be to win the match. Barbara Taylor, after her brilliant win against Marion Jude, maybe suffering a bit of after the Lord Mayor's show, but Mary Talbot, of course, the British Open champion. Very tough opponent indeed. As we return to see the Silver Sniper break off, frame number 11. See him make a couple of balls. And he will be kicking himself after the last frame. A very rare mistake from Craig when presented with what you consider a pretty easy finish from his point of view anyway. And once again, I think we're going to see a very quick frame. Just over 12 minutes left on the match clock.
Yeah, the match has proceeded at quite a lively pace, but because they've been fairly close, they have used up a decent chunk of the time, so if Craig gets back into this, time could certainly be a factor at the end. That's just about okay. Going to have to nip into this just to hold position for the red, but you can just about get enough spin on to do that. Always keep that really well. You've done well to hold anywhere near the middle of the table, but to get so much spin on so quickly to have ended up leaving this angle is absolutely perfect.
Yeah, very quick fire frame here from Craig. We're back at 6-5. And Thompson will not want another dry break.
No, you were saying a moment ago that might be the only difference between them, and that's proved to be the case so far. So, back on the secondary feature table. 4-3 to Callum Singleton against Ricky Jones. It's one of two matches still in play. The other one is Stevie Dempsey against Joe Prince. Dempsey 6-5 up on Prince. At one stage it was 5-1 to Joe Prince, so great comeback from Dempsey to get himself back into that. And now it's Joe Prince with his back against the wall.
You almost saw Shane Thompson trying to sort of body swerve that ball in off that break. He sort of gestured his cue towards that red, didn't he? There's a little bit of panic there for a second.
Yeah, it would have been such a bad moment for a dry break. He's got the momentum, he's got ahead in the match.
You don't care if they're completely open. You're not bothered. You just want the ball so you can make a decision, even if it's not to clear up. It's just to get yourself the foothold in the frame and make yourself the favourite.
This is a strange one because the yellows are better, but apart from one really badly positioned one.
I think he might try and screw up the table right now, straight into full face into that yellow. If he can get there, he knocks the red straight in the same shot and frees up that pocket. He'd be unlucky to play this shot, knock that red in and not be on another ball. There you go. What a shot there from Shane Thompson.
That was a beautiful bit of cueing. In theory that all sounds so easy, but if you're not absolutely dead straight, you can end up miles away from the ball you're trying to cannon.
I'd be tempted to play the plant me there, but Shane having none of it. I'll tell you now that I bet you wish you played that plant, because okay, it was offset, but you could play the plant and stop and hold for that yellow in the middle anyway. As long as you make the pot with the plant, it doesn't matter. This is a hard shot now. And that was paying the price for not playing that plant.
Should go out there and have a word with him, Tony. Needs a bit of coaching in the middle of this match.
No,
Yeah,
I'm sure he wouldn't want me anywhere near him, but you know, I'm looking at it from here and I'm not under pressure. And, I know Shane would rather not play. He wants to, because he trusts himself and his position is always immaculate. But I just think there, because you couldn't not be on the next ball, and you fancy him to make that plant, it's not massively difficult.
Yeah, I think the challenge there was that the ball he was trying to land on, it was just a difficult positional shot. Okay, he overran it, but even if he doesn't overrun it, it's still a hard pot. Waddingham misses the double.
Well. What is happening here, Mark?
Yeah, this has been a change. They didn't have to go for that double. Could have played the ball down the rail later on, but it's a let off either way for Shane. We haven't really seen much of this missing an open play. It's all just been about who's got the chances up until now.
And they've both done it at the same time.
And this is big for Craig Waddingham. This is the difference between 7-5 and 6-all. Going to be a relieved Shane Thompson.
Yep, just a plain ball rolling now with this yellow. Black in the centre. And he dodged a little bit of a bullet there, Shane Thompson. He's on the hill.
Looked good value for that lead, but it was by no means guaranteed. Craig had a good chance there to get things back on level terms. Let's have a little swing around the rest of the arena, see what we can find. Disability series.
There's Mohammed Boubacar from Leicester. Anybody that goes in Club 147 in Leicester will know that man.
Yeah, he's a very good player. Played 9-ball with him years ago. He's very good at that as well. Excellent cueist. So, having let slip that opportunity, Craig's now facing the uphill battle of needing to win all 3 remaining frames. Good start though, he's made a ball. Not a bad layout either. Just wanted some kind of open chance to go at, having let slip that last frame.
Attention call. in play.
Trying to get down on the difficult yellow.
Well, Craig's got his back against the wall here. There's no more room for any errors. But Thompson sat on the hill.
Hadn't quite come far enough for the yellow bottom left last shot, so he's actually played a really good shot to come all the way around the table and back to the same spot pretty much.
This is looking a bit lean for Craig. He tried to check it, and he didn't want that little cannon, and he saw a little look up to the sky for some celestial help, but I don't think it's coming. Loss of turn, only shot he can play,
Loss of turn.
which he has done.
He's left a couple of speculative plants. I don't know if Shane will be tempted by those, but he has let Shane back to the table.
Shane will want to just try and get safe here. Just don't let Craig see anything of any of these balls. And he, oh.
Well, that is the epitome of not safe.
No, that is certainly not safe.
Well, Craig will be delighted, straight back to the table in a plumb position to complete the clearance.
For me, you might as well have had a go at one of those plants, because even if you miss, if you block the yellows up there, you know that. And it's so hard to try and play off a ball very thin and come off a cushion from a long distance and get safe on these quick tables. It's an alien shot for these players. Well, this is do or die for Craig Waddingham. This black pretty much to stay in the contest, stay in the tournament. Well, I would have fancied him to get it under the pressure. He's been so good with his long pots.
He's not somebody that normally
Such a
suffers
tough
too
shot,
much
though.
from the pressure, is he?
Declan Brennan missed. It was sort of similar in the previous match, but he was a bit cushed up. Was into that same pocket as well, bizarrely. But this is golden opportunity now for the man from Somerset, Shane Thompson, to get himself over a very, very large hurdling Craig Waddingham.
Yeah, and he's going to feel like he's one of the favourites for this tournament. This could have been the final. He just wants to get over this hurdle. I'm not saying there's necessarily going to be easier matches to come, but once he gets down to the quarterfinals, he'll be eyeing up that trophy. I say he gets to the quarterfinals. He's in the quarterfinals. Once he gets to the semi-finals, he'll be eyeing up that trophy.
Trying to push him back around, aren't you?
So we'll have a bit of a break. That quarterfinal will be on later on this afternoon. Just needs to miss the 8 ball, which he does very well. Good performance this from Shane Thompson. Well, that was a good performance in the end. That was a match that could have gone either way. Two high quality players